You are listening to the Lucha Central Podcast Network. And now, Lucha Central Weekly.
Hello and welcome to the Lucha Central Weekly Podcast. This is the podcast that lets you know all of the latest happening in the world of Lucha Libre. And today, well, we have a very special interview for you all with someone who is a well-known product of the Texas wrestling scene and has taken his talents to places like Game Changer Wrestling, Local Wrestling, Mucha Lucha ATL, and Galley Wrestling, just to name a few. And not to mention, he is a 3-time Reality of Wrestling champion and current River City Wrestling champion. And of course, you know the Mamacitas can watch him on Major League Wrestling, where he's had notable matches against Gringo Loco, Richard Holiday, Savio Vega, Zenshi, and Rocky Romero. A man with Lucha Libre in his blood, the intocable Gino Medina. Gino, welcome to the show.
Oh, wow. I need to take you where I go because that was a great intro.
We do our research on here, and we're absolute big fans of yours, so we're so excited to have you on. Yes, because
Thank you for having me.
You truly have Lucha Libre in your blood. Someone who's grown up with Lucha Libre. We've seen the facts out there that you had your first match at 6 years old, wrestling in Minnie's matchup. So can you kind of share with us what it was like growing up in a Lucha Libre family, and also what your experiences with wrestling at such a young age?
Yeah, ever since I can remember, I've been like in a Lucha Libre locker room, I was probably like 2 or like maybe I was still a baby and I was already in the locker rooms. I had the likes of like Pimpinella and like a lot of people just like taking care of me when I was just a baby, that, and I would like sneak my way into the ring whenever we can. I don't know if you guys been to a Lucha Libre show, but all the little kids get in the ring.
Yeah, they do.
And I was one of them. I was one of them like in there like trying to get up the second rope and trying to like balance myself and stuff, doing little suicide dives and whatnot. But yeah, I was part of that little like culture since since I can remember. People ask me like, oh, like how long you been wrestling? How long you been on all this? But like, I basically grew up in wrestling, you know what I mean? So I never started wrestling. Like wrestling just is my life, So like I said, ever since I can remember, I've been in the locker room, marking out with all these luchadors, seeing them. I don't know, as a kid, as a 3-4-year-old, you see all these guys, all muscled up with masks and capes flying around and stuff. You kind of think like, superheroes are real, So
Right?
You see that
Yeah.
and you're like, wow, like this is something that I could do, I can't be Spider-Man, but I can for sure be, Santo, Rey Mysterio. So as a kid, I kind of saw it that way. I saw it that, this is something that I could do as well. And, of course I wasn't really sure as a kid, like talking to my dad, like letting him know that's something I want to do. But as I got older, I kind of like knew I had to do it, Sadly, my dad passed away when I was like 5 or 6. So he never got to see me wrestle or train me to wrestle and whatnot. But, I feel like when he passed away, I kind of took it upon myself to kind of continue his legacy in the Lucha Libre culture and then kind of just make my own legacy, as you see now. As you very generously introduced me, I'm carrying that legacy pretty well.
Yeah. As a second-generation luchador, what do you think the biggest difference is between like your training and like you trained at Reality of Wrestling with Booker T in Houston, but also you mentioned some lucha stuff. What are the differences between like the current training and like the lucha training that like your dad might have gone through with Mr. Lindsay in Monterey?
Oh, you guys did jobs research because I I've never heard that one before. I love it. I feel like lucha libre is a little bit more different because they're a lot more like fast paced. You know, they're like running around the ring, jumping out over the ropes and whatnot. So it's a lot of cardio. It's a lot of cardio when it comes to
Lucha
lucha libre.
cardio.
Yeah, yeah, and I love it. I still do it myself. Like, thankfully, I started out reality wrestling doing like American wrestling, but before that, I got trained lucha libre by one of my dad's friends here in Houston, which his name was El Monje Negro, and he trained me to basically just like, it's called tumbling, where it's just a bunch of rolls and forward rolls, back rolls, all these type of rolls, and that's all I could do for like 2 years. He wouldn't let me do anything else. You just roll, 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 roll. Cardio and roll, cardio and roll. And then I see people now that that do come to reality wrestling, and they get tired for like running for a minute, you know. Now I'm like, come on, man, like you gotta like step it up, you know.
You gotta try for that. That's
Come
also
on.
what happens when I'm sure you've done it your entire life.
Yeah, yeah. But like I said, I do give them some slack because I know, it is hard. I remember my first day of like lucha libre training, I threw up. I was like 14, and I just threw up. Because of course I did the little like mini stuff back when I was like younger, but like I got my actual training in like at 14. I started training over here. And it's pretty hard because like I said, American wrestling is a lot more like slower paced and a lot more like psychology that goes into it. Perfecting the craft that comes with like everything. Psychology wise. Or being with Booker enforced that on us since the beginning. Psychology, structure, this and this and that. Lucha, you throw that out the window. Throw it out the window, and you just do a cool hurricanrana. You do a cool hurricanrana, suicide dive, throw them back in, do a crossbody, you're good. But and I'm not like knocking either of those. I just feel like wrestling is like like music. You can't knock like rap because you like rock music, and you can't knock rock music because you like rap. It's just, it has a different flavors of it, and you just kind of decide what you like and what you want. And then for me, I love lucha libre, but to me, I knew that I want to make connections with people. I want to make connections with that crowd, and I knew if I wanted to do that, I had to do this side of that I'm doing now, and which is like the American pro wrestling of it. And I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty happy being able to do both. I'm 25, and I can have a match with like I feel like anybody.
Yeah, literally anybody, because we ran down some of the names that you've wrestled already, and out of reality of wrestling, you've done a lot of those guys. You work great with a lot of people for sure.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh no, and then like I was gonna say, I've just been lucky to like wrestle a lot of the lucha libre legends that like taught me a lot. The likes of like Psycho Clown, El Santo, El Hijo del Santo. I wrestled El Hijo del Santo, and I just couldn't believe that. I remember being in the ring, like seeing him come out with his cape and everything, and it was just so like, just the legacy that he carries behind that. Like to me, I just couldn't like, comprehend everything that was going on. But with him and then like Dr. Wagner and stuff, it just, I've been in the ring with Rey Mysterio, to me, all of that, I feel like learning experiences to what I'm like becoming as a wrestler.
Yeah, that's, it's just mind blowing to hear just the list of that and just hear, I mean, like, can you describe that feeling of just being, because I'm assuming you came out first, just being in the ring and seeing Santo coming towards the ring and knowing that that's you that's going to be wrestling?
I immediately thought of my dad just because like I just felt like I feel like he's still with me and I feel like he's still watching me, so I'm like, oh, like this is pretty cool that like I was given this opportunity and that he knows that I'm like doing this, you know what I mean? And then to think that my dad wrestled him as well, that was pretty cool, knowing that he faced that generation of like my family, which is my dad, and then wrestling me now. I'm like, oh, this is great. And to people that don't know, like Santo is basically like Hulk Hogan of the lucha libre. Yeah, of the lucha libre like culture. Like that's like the end all be all, in Santo. So like to be in the ring and seeing him come out, it was just a little overwhelming, I just couldn't believe it. And I was just kind of hoping that my dad was proud of me, like just watching me being in the ring with that legend.
I can't imagine what it was like to grow up idolizing people and then get into the ring. It happens, with a lot of people in wrestling to have that opportunity. You cross that threshold, or you cross that line of like, from being a fan to being an opponent or a partner of someone that you admired, and especially some of the people that you listed, and even just all the matches that you have. It's something else. It's something almost just incredible. But on the other side too, you've wrestled with a lot of younger, up and coming Lucha Libre talent. Friend of the show, Mr. Iguana, being one of them, and was recently Adams. Also, what is that like to wrestle with, people who are up and coming in Lucha Libre? Just like also you're 25 and you've done all of this already. How is it also working with people your age or even younger?
It's amazing because like somebody like Aramis, he's I think he's like 20, 21, and like the stuff that guy can do in the ring and like the stuff that he knows and how good he is just kind of like mesmerizing. I'm like, oh wow, like I thought it was good. So like seeing somebody like that just kind of pushes you to kind of like kind of take it to the next level and like really like be a lot more disciplined and not that I'm like competing with anybody. I'm just very like if I see somebody doing well, I'm like okay, I can do that as well, And like I know it kind of just pushes me seeing people like that. And I've been in the ring with him. I actually wrestled him in Chicago, and and that actually like did push me because like I said, like the luchadors, they have that cardio. So when I got in the ring with him, I was tired. I'll admit that I was tired. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna have to slow this guy down. but yeah, he's great. Aramis is great. I wrestled him. I wrestled Ares. I don't know if you guys familiar with Ares. Ares is great too.
Yeah.
Gringo Loco is amazing. Yeah. And of course, Mr. Iguana. I love Mr. Iguana. I teamed up with him probably last month, and we wrestled 3 girls. It was Mr. Iguana. Who was I don't remember who our tag team partner was, but it was Mr. Iguana, this other guy, and me. And it's super disrespectful that I don't remember that guy's name, but I'm really bad with names. But we wrestled these 3 girls, and it was amazing. It was a lot of fun.
We were expecting you to say yes. I got into the match, like Mr. Iguana's Iguana yes, because we know, cause we know she's very jealous and annoyed. So we thought she got involved in the match.
You guys need to have Yeska on the podcast.
We're working on it. She is really hard to get a hold of. You'd be surprised how talented it is. We just can't.
Turning to MLW kind of for a moment, there's been quite a shakeup at MLW the past few months with the inclusion of Azteca Underground and now Cesar Duran. And what are your feelings about this new direction that the company's going in? And like, where do you see yourself fitting in? Do you think this is a better spot than it was before now that we have Azteca Underground?
Oh, definitely, because probably like 4 or 5 years ago, I was watching it. Was it 4 or 5 years ago when it was what was it? Lucha Underground. And I was watching that when it was happening. And I thought it was amazing because I thought it was like something way different, I feel like a lot of people try to do wrestling the same. A lot of people try to do wrestling the same, and I feel like Lucha Underground was like something way different. It was a little over the top, but I feel like wrestling is over the top. So right. It's pretty fun to watch. People were getting killed off. People were being sacrificed.
Yeah.
It's cool, because it's kind of like anime. It's kind of like, other stuff that, people in our wrestling, community like to watch. So I feel like it was pretty cool, like seeing that side of it, And then there was a lot of good people that came out of that. You had like, the Lucha Brothers came out of that. Brian Cage, Rey Mysterio, all these. Rey Mysterio already was Rey Mysterio, but I'm saying like they gave him a bigger platform to kind of, to show us what he can do as well. But I loved it, and then seeing that kind of be a part of the company that I'm in right now, it gets me really excited because it tells me that I can kind of be a part of that little. Hopefully they bring back the temple. That would be amazing. I don't know if they're going to do it, but it'd be pretty cool if they brought the temple back. So maybe, I don't know what I gotta do. I don't know who I gotta talk to make that happen. But, I'm pretty happy that, Lucha Azteca is a thing now. And, maybe they can bring some luchadors from here to wrestle. And, I feel like I will fit in perfectly there because I feel like my style kind of like, it's like
I
a good blend of
agree.
it. Yeah, that kind of will like work with like, cause it's a little bit like, it's kind of produced a little bit like, like American wrestling, but it's
Hmm.
lucha libre. So I feel like I kind of will fit in pretty great with that. And like they'll have a lot of like the top luchadors that I've heard I want to bring in and whatnot. I've wrestled some of those, so I'm like, hey man, throw me in there, whoever you want.
Funny, you've been there, done that, and apparently from what we've seen, you have to talk to the man, Cesar Duran himself, which could go, well, one of many ways. We're not sure. But, I mean, you're absolutely right as far as the hybrid and blend of MLW, very comparable to your own experience in which you just talked about with your training and everyone that you've already faced in the independent scene.
So I'm going to just jump in with an easy, a nice softball for you. You're talking about wanting this MLW, with these luchadors in MLW. Give us a couple names. Who are some people you want to face in the Azteca promotion, the promotions Azteca or whatever?
I for sure want to wrestle the Ares because we never wrestled like 1-on-1. That'd be very fun.
Yeah.
I would like to wrestle at Amis just because like it's a bigger platform. We wrestled in Chicago, but that was only the Chicago crowd that saw that. I feel like the whole world can see our dynamic because I feel like it was our first time wrestling each other, and we had a pretty good dynamic in the ring. So I feel like that would be very fun. I'm trying to think of another one on top of my head that they got there. I know what that means. Ares. Another one will
Yeah.
be Mil Muertes, and I've wrestled him before.
Yes.
But like I said, in a bigger platform, that would be a lot of fun to like get in there with
Yeah.
him and kind of do the thing.
Yeah.
But another name that they haven't really mentioned. I don't know if he's even gonna come over here, but I think it'd be pretty cool if they do bring Psycho Clown. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Psycho
Oh,
Clown.
yes.
That
Yes,
guy.
I'm able to have that one, Brendan.
Yeah, so talk to me more about Wrestling Psycho Clown, and feel free to describe punching him in the face as much as possible. Where you, yeah, I like to joke about having a heat with Psycho Clown on
It
the
was Psycho. I got you, man. I got you. I almost beat him. There's a lot of videos out there of me kicking them right in the head.
Oh yeah, no,
So I'll send y'all some. Maybe I could show little clips of me clicking in the head as I'm talking about it. But I actually had one of my better matches of this year against Psycho Clown. So I don't know what it was. I feel like he kind of saw where I was coming from. And so like I talked to him and he was very aware of my dad and whatnot. So I feel like something kind of like I just feel like he got excited to wrestle me and he was just like, all right, let's do all this stuff because I know your dad. So it was pretty cool like getting to wrestle him and kind of like having somebody at that level and being able to compete with him and being kind of just going tick for tack and kind of just giving this local crowd down here a good match. That's a match that I'm very very happy about because the same thing as I said with Santo. Psycho Clown right now is like they're John Cena, they're Roman Reigns, Psycho Clown is a big deal over there, and like he's an amazing wrestler. So I feel like maybe MLW wants to bring him over here. I'll be the one that introduces him to Lucha Azteca.
Yeah, I like that.
I'll be in the front row, rooting you on. Be the one guy rooting for you.
I'll take him to you so you can grab him. All right.
Yeah.
Give him a good old,
Brendan.
give
Yeah.
him a good old chop.
So, speaking of Major League Wrestling, your character, and not just in MLW, but also who we see now, the untouchable, the intocable, Gino Medina, is really a progression of character and personality in your career from when you started. Can you kind of share with us how you got to this place in your career with the untouchable one, and also what kind of inspires you as far as not just your moves in the ring, but what you present as a person and what you do outside of the ring?
Everything started with me not being untouchable. Of course, I wasn't like when I tried to start this whole persona, I was not like sure of myself. I was like very like a little timid and whatnot. I guess like it's weird because I grew up in this, but I still was a little like timid and whatnot. So at first it was very awkward for me because when I first started wrestling, I was wearing a mask. I was wearing a mask for like probably like 4 years maybe. So when I had to take it off, when I had to take it off, it was like new to me because behind that mask I was like a 17, 18-year-old like hiding, hiding and just trying to wrestle. So like when I took it off, it was just like it was a little different because I had to like be somebody else now. I had to be me, and at the time, man, and we all know this, at a 16, 17-year-old, you don't know who you are at all. You're just like you're just very lost out here. I'm not trying to be an adult, trying to transform into an adult. So it was very weird for me to kind of like be sure of myself and kind of like be confident in the ring. But I had two people that really like believed in me early on that kind of did push me, and those two people were Booker T and Bruce Pritchard, and those two people are like two of the biggest names in wrestling. So when you got two people like that believing in you and telling you, "Hey kid, you got something," like, "Hey kid, like we love you in the ring. You just gotta like really be sure of yourself." And when you got those two people believing in yourself, you have no other choice than to believe in yourself and kind of like being like trying to see what they see in you, Right. So yeah, they just gave me the ball at reality wrestling, and they gave me a championship, and I was like, all right, I'm the champion now, so I can't turn back. I just gotta be on my game, and I guess that's really, and I didn't even realize it until I'm saying it right now, but that was the thing. They gave me a championship, and I couldn't look back. I had to basically deliver every month that we were wrestling at reality wrestling, and I feel like that's what kind of like pushed me a little bit to kind of, get better and better and like not be complacent and not stop. And like I said, just keep moving forward with that. But as that started happening, I started traveling a little bit more around Texas. Then I started traveling a little bit more, out of Texas. And then it kind of just stuck to me that I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not that bad at this. I'm not that bad at this. Yeah. And then I kind of started seeing what Booker and like Bruce Pritchard were talking about. I'm like, okay, like I don't suck. So that kind of like got me thinking a little bit. And then like growing up in Lucha Libre, there was always a wrestler. His name was Intocable. That was his name. He used to wrestle for Triple H. And for some reason, there's also a band called that, a Mexican band called Intocable. So cool. I always thought about that, and I thought I was something cool. So I'm like, let me just go with that. And I kind of just started like calling myself that here and there. And then it kind of just stuck. People just started kind of going with it. And then when I got to MLW, they kind of wanted to market me as something, Like, oh, give us something. What do you go for around here? I kind of let them know what it was, and they liked it, and here I am, El Intocable, untouchable. I say untouchable just because some people couldn't say the Intocable. Sorry, that's my dog.
Oh.
No, it's okay.
He doesn't like it.
No, he's not a big fan. I know.
Not a fan of the gimmick.
Yeah, if I have bark, I just mute them because their opinions don't matter. Don't worry about the haters, as they say.
You mentioned, your family history a little bit. Would you like to talk about your family history with Lucha Libre for a minute for some of our listeners who, may not be aware?
Yeah, of course. So my dad, his name was Sanguinario. He also wrestled as Máscara Maligna. And something that I don't really talk about, but my uncles were wrestlers too. They didn't really wrestle as much, but they did wrestle for a little bit. His name was what was my uncle's name? Something cirujano something, which is basically like the doctor or something. I'm really bad at this. I remember his name, but the other one was Leon Salvaje, which is like the savage, lion. They wrestled as well. But they never really got their break, so they kind of just stopped, My dad continued, and he finally got that break, and he just kind of went with it. And then those two uncles had kids, and those two kids wrestled as well. but the same thing as my uncles, they never really got their break and then just stopped wrestling. And I don't know what it was with my dad and I, but we just kind of continued. And like, I'm kind of happy that I did, because like I said, I wouldn't be talking to you guys right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be at MLW and doing all this stuff, and kind of like, honestly, I feel like what it was for me, I think it was kind of like, and it's kind of weird, but like, it was kind of like losing my dad and kind of like knowing that I was the one that had to like continue that legacy and like kind of make him proud. Because like anytime that I'm kind of like not too happy with wrestling, I kind of think about that, kind of think about my dad, because I kind of think about how I want to continue his legacy and make him proud,
Yeah.
But yeah, there's I kind of come from like a, like 5-6 people of family of wrestlers that
So
kind of
cool.
try to go for it. But the thing is, I never trained with any of them. They never like helped me out, and I don't mean that as a knock at them. It's just that like I'm very proud that I've done all this myself. I haven't had any help. I've just been the only person that's ever supported me has been my mom. So my mom's always been super supportive. And for her, it was a little weird because, she grew up with a luchador as a husband. So if it was up to her, she could have been like, hey, man, you're not going to do this stuff. But she always supported me through all of it. And, like, she was the one that, like, would take me to training at 14. I couldn't drive. She would take me every time after school. She would always, like, kind of support me when it comes to lucha libre.
Very cool. Another part of the crossover between your father's legacy and your work is Conan. So what was it like to have just a brief experience with him we only saw a brief experience. I don't know how much you got. Tell us a little more about that.
Oh yeah, Conan's been very helpful since I got to MLW because he was of course he was with part of the Gringo Locos with Eddie and Arbar, and I think it's pretty cool that my dad was a part of that team, and now years later we're in the same locker room, out here interacting, and him telling me like little stories and little like comments about my dad, which is pretty cool, being around that, because there's not a lot of people that kind of like wrestle him over here as much, but seeing him, and another one that you guys probably won't know, it's LA Park. LA Park has a long history with my dad because they actually started together. They were a team in Monterrey. They were actually El Invasor Uno and El Invasor Dos, and they were Carlos Invasores. And basically that was like their little like
cool
team that they started with, and eventually in Mexico you lose your mask and they just give you a new gimmick, right? So that's how they started. They started doing that, and now years later, being in the locker room with Conan and LA Park is pretty cool because that's in a way that's like a reminder of like why I'm doing this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've talked about working in MLW, but also within the independent scene, and you have the ability to do both, to work with a major independent wrestling promotion, but also to continue working throughout the United States with different promotions. With wrestling having been changed so much, with the level of competition of wrestling companies growing and expanding, and then you also have, life occurrences like the pandemic happening last year. How much would you say wrestling has truly, changed over the past year, and has that impacted how you approach your career?
Well, I have a bone to pick. I got some heat with the pandemic, man.
Pandemic heat, yes.
Because before, like months before, like it happened, like I had just signed with MLW, and I feel like I was, getting some momentum, and then I just got cut off, So it was a little like weird, but like with everything, I feel like if I was able to make it there, I feel like I can make it up there again and kind of bring that momentum going again. But the thing is, and it sounds really bad saying this, but in Texas, a lot of stuff never really slowed down. So yeah,
it's true.
It's true. Yeah.
I'm out in Arizona, very similar to Texas Junior when it came to the warehouse.
Yeah. So I was still able to like do some of that here, but like I guess like with bigger companies and whatnot, like everything slowed down. So it was a little like, I mean, it sucked because, you know, it sucked for everybody, not just me. I'm pretty sure there was a lot of people that were still, you know, having that momentum going and then just getting cut off. But, you know, I feel like it just makes everybody a lot more like, it makes them better and stronger, you know, because we're resilient and we're able to get through this. You know, I feel like everybody just becomes a lot better, and you see it now. You see a new crop of talent, like, you know, kind of coming up right now, and I feel like a lot of those people wouldn't be where they're at if it wasn't for this pandemic, you know, because I feel like a lot of people a lot of people left wrestling, a lot of people, you know, decided that, you know, this wasn't for them and whatnot, and I feel like it's like, you know, it's a new reality, you know, that we have now with this pandemic. So like, we kind of just have to like, push through it and kind of like, you know, keep pushing. And I feel like for me, it did, like I said, it did like, you know, make it a little harder, but I feel like it just makes me a lot better because I feel like it keeps pushing me, you know. And there is a lot of competition out there. When like you said, so many new companies coming up. You know, AEW. You know, you got Ring of Honor, NWA, WWE, MLW. But I feel like, you know, competition just makes everybody a lot better. You know, and that's just not in like one locker room. That just becomes in like wrestling in general. You know, I feel like that's what made like wrestling so good back in the day. It was all that competition. You know, all those stars were made because of competition.
Right on. So you have heat with the pandemic, but it also gave you an opportunity to do something very visually distinct, and that you did some drive-in wrestling while you were there in Texas. Was that weird? And yeah, and tell us, first off, describe what the environment looked like, because not everybody that listens to this saw that footage, and then tell us what that was like.
It was nice, but it was just weird because it was like in Texas and it's super humid down here.
Yeah.
Humidity.
Yeah. So like the ring got slippery, the ropes were slippery, the mats out there were slippery. So it was a little like hard, but you know, it's better than coronavirus, right?
It's true. It's true.
But I shouldn't be joking about that. Yeah, I can cut that off. I got a dark sense of humor. But it was fun because it was it was fun because, you know, I feel like I love driving movies. So to me that was basically just the same thing because you could still switch your little radio station and you can hear Booker T and Brad Gilmore like basically commentating over the matches. So I think that was a pretty cool little thing to do. Yeah, and especially at Booker T, like in your car, and you see your Booker T. I think that's a pretty cool deal. And and we have a great group of talent down here. So like seeing that and then seeing Booker T over that, I feel like it's something nice because, you know, at the time nobody was getting any type of entertainment, you know, live. So that was a nice little step that we took here at Reality Wrestling to kind of get stuff going, you know, and that was basically like my first couple of shows that I had, you know, during the pandemic, you know, because before that I was just at home just trying to do push-ups and jump rope.
Yeah. Have you done any training with newer wrestlers, newer classes coming in for Reality of Wrestling? Like, are you doing any training work with them?
Yes. I actually helped them with their training down there at Booker T's. So we always have like new groups of talent coming in and coming out. You know, there's Texas is so big. There's so many wrestling schools all over Texas, but I feel like, you know, Houston does have the best wrestling school, which is Booker T's Reality Wrestling, and I feel like Booker just offers something different, you know, and I feel like that attracts a lot of those newer people, and to me, it's just fun because like I've been on the Booker's like learning tree since I was like 14, so I mean 16 actually. So I'm no Booker T, but I do have a lot of his knowledge in my head. You know, sometimes in matches I can tell him here like, what the hell you doing, kid?
That's a real good Booker T. Like
I got a pretty good Booker T. I wish I could do the eyes, but I can't do that.
Well, the news came out today too that Reality of Wrestling is coming to Las Vegas
Yes.
November. Is there any, reporting as we can make as far as will you be out there in Las Vegas for Reality of Wrestling?
I'm not sure yet if I can make it to that one because I have a championship match down here in Texas.
Ooh.
I'm wrestling Alex Zane down here.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
So,
That'd be a
yeah.
great match.
So before that was announced, I had already like agreed to that. But we'll see. We'll see what I'm able to do. Maybe I can make it over there. Come wrestle over here and then just try to make it over there.
Just move the match over to Las Vegas and
That'd be super nice. That'd be nice wrestling Alex Zane
up
in
and down.
Vegas. Okay.
Yeah.
Make it a Las Vegas street fight. Boom.
Oh, bam.
Okay.
Yeah,
At the street.
I like that.
Oh yeah. No, I'm a part-time booker. It's all good. That's what we do. That's our weekly podcast. And I mean, if anything too, what everyone's career in wrestling, looks different. It evolves. It changes so much. For you and your career specifically, what are you hoping? You're only 25. You still have so much and you've already done so much. So what would you consider to be, an important goal or milestone or big thing that you want to do in your career that you would feel like, kind of meets your expectations of what you've been working towards?
I know this sounds like very like cliche and like corny, but I just want to be like one of the best of all time. I want people to be like, oh yeah, Gino, that was a good wrestler. I kind of want people to be like, oh, like Gino, that was like a workhorse. I want to be kind of up there with the likes of like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero, all these guys that people look up to, as good wrestlers. To me that would be amazing to do. And that's what I kind of work for. That's what I still train for. There's a lot of people that start wrestling and they stop training, but to me, I just feel like I can always get better. Like I always want to get better. To me, that's why I'm always in the ring trying to like kind of like perfect my craft. And like I said, it sounds a little cliche, but like this is literally one of my goals to be like one of the top guys, of all time as a good competitor. I just hear people talk about like Eddie Guerrero and they still talk about him like now,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of just like, that's just kind of a little, motivating to hear, and like, it's a little weird just cause, like, let's talk about it. It's a little weird because, to me, sometimes I feel like, being Hispanic, being, Mexican, I feel like sometimes I can only connect to, or only to that demographic, but then seeing Eddie Guerrero being everybody looking up to him, from white people, black people, Asian people, Hispanic people, everybody loves him, and I feel like I want to be that. Okay, I want people to like look past the nationality and just, be like, okay, that's a good wrestler right there. And like, to me, that's my end all be goal. And then kind of just, go all over the place, go to Japan, go back to Mexico, wrestle there, wrestle here as much as I can and kind of, be a full-time wrestler and kind of, and I didn't mention her before, but like kind of like having something that my mom is proud of, like, early on that she kind of supported me a lot. So it's a lot of like, I kind of just want to give back.
Yeah, like everybody wants to make their mama proud.
Yeah,
like
everybody.
that's one of the hallmarks of a good person. Like
I just turned super babyface, right? I'm a babyface.
It's okay. We won't tell anybody.
Yeah. We'll put this on the internet, but nobody will know.
Intocable, mamacitas.
Well, even Rudos love their mama.
That is true.
True. It's very true.
I gotta show some love for the number one mamacita, right?
There
you go.
Yeah. Give us a quick look for the future here. You talked about having a championship match coming and maybe being in Vegas. Is there anything else that we can look forward to seeing you do in the near future?
Yes, I will be part of the next MLW tapings in Philadelphia. I'm very excited to go there. I love going down to MLW because you see the group of talent there. Yeah. And like I said, it just pushes me because, like I said, I see them doing stuff and I'm like, oh, they can do it, I can do it as well. you know. And I love going there every month over there just for that, just to, you know, get that motivation going and seeing all these guys, you know, kill it. You know, a couple of months ago, I saw Aramis versus Aris one-on-one, and that match was like spectacular. I loved it. So like, you know, that keeps me going. I saw that. I saw Lee Moriarty wrestled Tankman, and that was a great match too.
Yeah.
And like I said, those stuff kind of keeps me going, and I love seeing them go out there and like kill it, because like I said, that just makes me in my head be like, okay, I can go out there and kill it as well. And then at the end of the day, you just have a bunch of guys out there killing it. You know, it just makes everything a lot better. But I do have MLW coming. I got local wrestling coming as well. Next month, I believe is November 20th. I got that, and then I'll be part of their GCW local show they're having down here. So that'll be a lot of fun. So always a lot of fun wrestling down here with GCW. That, and I'm pretty sure I probably have a lot more, but I just can't remember right now. You know,
That's okay. You really are everywhere. I mean, again, all over Texas, all over the U.S., at MLW tapings. So, you know, if you don't know Gino Medina, what rock have you been living under? Because you can find him everywhere on the internet. Speaking of, can you let our listeners know where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, you guys can look me up on Twitter, Instagram under TLHT. And if you can't remember that, you can remember the Latin Heartthrob.
Mm-hmm. Back from the old school reference there.
Yeah. You guys, like, you guys did guys research, because you guys, nobody knows this old school reference. Though I love it. I love you guys. I need to be part of this show a lot more.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Yes. Our job is to present all of the latest hot topics of Lucha Libre to listeners, and you, sir, are a hot topic. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate you guys for, like I said, that like stuff like that. It makes me want to do more of these. Sometimes I don't want to do them because people just ask the same questions. You know, people just ask me about Booker T. Yeah, the guys didn't even ask me about Booker T. So like, you got.
Now we know you have a really solid impression though. So that was a secret. I think.
No, but I appreciate it because you guys just job research, and you guys, you know, are asking the tough questions. You know, you guys brought out my dad's trainer, and that's like amazing, you know, to me.
Well, I think
thank you.
Lucha Libre that I think combines us as a show, and I think for fans of Lucha Libre, is the fact that it is a culture. It is a family. It is an identity, and it runs so deep. So being able to get your insights about your family.
I got my shirt in. Esto es lucha. There you go. You hyped it up. I was like, esto es lucha.
Where can people get that shirt?
What was that?
Where can people get that shirt?
I actually don't know.
Hit him up on social media. Somebody will take care of it.
We'll take care of it. We'll edit it in post, but you embody that, and that was
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And you make it your own as well, and that's something that is. I can't imagine how challenging it is, but you make it look easy. And
appreciate it.
That our listeners tune into you more. We hope the whole wrestling community tunes into Gino Medina, because you are worth the watch, and we hope to see so much more for you. We expect so many great things to come out of you, because again, you are only 25 years old. Makes me cry. And you've done so many good things. I'm not gonna say how old I am. Lady never revealed. But you know, we are just excited to see more from you, Gino. So thank you so much for your time. Make sure you follow Gino Medina on social media. Follow him so you get to see where he's going to next. And if not, watch him on MLW every week, because his matches are fantastic. Your library is already up as well. You can watch some of his previous matches on MLW with Fusion and much, much more. Thank you again for joining us today, Gino.
Thank you guys, and I appreciate you guys again. And hopefully I'll come back on here some more time. Maybe I'll wrestle more Lucha Legends.
Yeah, we'd love to have you come on and talk about it.
Yeah, or just whenever you beat up Psycho Clown, you could come back and just listen and
swing on by. I'll happily talk with you every time you beat him up. That's fine.
I gotcha.
Make sure you go to luchacentral.com, your centralized place for all things Lucha Libre, as well as thechairshot.com, one of our streaming partners. Of course, the Lucha Central Weekly Podcast. It comes to you each and every week, bringing you what you need to know on Lucha Libre. You can find us also on all major podcast streaming platforms, including iTunes, Spotify, Podbase, Speaker, Google Play, and much, much more. So for Brendan Barr and Dusty Murphy, I'm Miranda Morales. Thank you all so much, and make sure you catch us on the Lucha Central Weekly Podcast.